Jake, thank you for being here, brother.
Yeah, glad to. Thanks, Earl.
All right, so I gave a little bit of a little small intro about you and what you do, but I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about your journey. How did you get into the speaking business, and tell us a little bit about your topic and why you care about it. And for anyone, as we're going through these questions, well, we're going through this webinar here. If you have questions, put them into the chat. And then what I'm going to do at the end, hopefully we have about 15 minutes. I know Jake has a tight schedule, and he let me know about it beforehand. So we're going to try to get as much as we can done before he has to go. But as your questions come up, put them into the chat. And then at the end, I'll find them, read them off, and try to get through as many as we possibly can. So if you have specific questions, put them in chat. I'm going to do my best to answer all of them. So with that being said, Jake, let us know a little bit about you, your background, and how you got into this whole speaking world.
Okay, awesome. I started in college, actually. I was a student, and I saw these people come into my school, and I was the one paying them. I was part of the speakers team that brought people in. And I was like, how do we have all this money to throw at these people to come in for an hour? And I would meet them and get to drive them from the airport, and they were the coolest people, always. And I remember when the school asked me to start speaking to all the incoming freshmen, like helping them get involved, and they were paying me $7 an hour. And I was, I was like, I'm getting paid $7, but if you paid me like that guy, I could pay for my tuition 4 times over. And so I thought, in the back of my mind, I was like, if I get the chance to become a speaker, I'm going to do it, but I don't have a story. And that was my posture for a long time. I didn't know that you could just be a normal person, get good at speaking, and become a speaker. I thought you had to go through insane trials and have this amazing story that inspires everyone to be their best. And I didn't know all the areas too of speaking to solve problems instead of just to motivate. So from there, to make a long story short, throughout college, I had lost my uncle to addiction, and it became very important to me that I wouldn't, and I take things very hard on myself. So I thought to myself, if my uncle's life was taken by drugs, I don't want to ever be the person to introduce someone else to drugs. So I'm just going to be a nerd. I'm going to be a teetotaler, whatever you call it. And I'm going to go through college and try to have a good time. Turns out that's pretty hard, not only in college, but like people look at you funky if you tell them that you don't drink or smoke or do anything. And what I found out is that there was a social scene around drinking. There was no social scene around anything else on the weekends. So I started throwing these massive house parties for my friends and eventually getting hundreds of students to come to them. We didn't serve alcohol. I know it sounds funky. It was, but it was so much fun. Imagine 250 people crammed into a house. They're playing games outside because they're not worried about the cops coming, giving underage tickets. We're dancing with DJs. We have games. And yeah, it's just a party full of nerds. So super fun, getting sponsored by Red Bull, Pizza Hut, Chick-fil-A, all these major brands. And then media went across the country. And that's when I realized it. I've got a story to share.
So you were getting sponsored by these large brands because you were having these no alcohol parties.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
1 point for the nerds, Jake. 1 point for the nerds.
Yeah. And I thought about it too, like later when I was thinking about coming on today, and I realized something. Like maybe I've had a knack for marketing and design before I knew it, because dude, maybe I'm blessed, man. If I can get hundreds of students to party without alcohol on a college campus, I have a gift. I need to share it, man. I need to share it.
Yeah.
So that's how I started speaking. Is students would ask me, how did you do this? And then I went through like a business model trying to charge the school like 10 grand to come to their school. Didn't work. And I landed on your platform with TSS and had been invited to do 1 gig the year prior. Went to TSS, like the super sales highway, rocked my world. Like that's the one thing that consistently throughout my entire career has helped me with just like holistically everything I do, that has been so beneficial. So I did that and got booked schedules, did a national tour with my company. And as you said, like I've always been good at marketing and web design, which has allowed me to, even though I wasn't a speaker, I would get booked as a speaker and paid as a speaker to go and practice. And to me, that's like the best formula ever. Like,
It's the best way, like, to get paid to practice is like, there you go, right?
Mhm.
There you go. Okay,
Yeah.
so tell me about the design background. Is that something you've always done? Was that like a personal passion? How did you get into the actual design element of everything?
It actually started when I was in school, started throwing these parties, is I would design flyers, I would design social media images, and I was messing around with all these very complicated programs, you know, the Adobe Suite and things like that. And now there's tools to make it a little bit simpler. But what I learned is that I was doing, you know, hundreds of hours of tutorials, and I was getting this, like, I was getting my degree, but my real degree was in web design and design because I was building it for my business. And then I made friends with a bunch of entrepreneurs in school, and I would help them with their website. So when I was transitioning to full-time speaking, I had my side gig. I was doing speaking and I was going 100% all in. And I had my side hustle as I was building websites and I was doing online marketing for other brands and other speakers as well. So it kind of helped me just immerse myself in both worlds. And now I have this like superhuman strength for,
I mean,
for
and
helping
you know
speakers.
what? And that what you said is a really great point. Like, there's tons of tutorials. You know, it just takes sitting down, and it does. It takes hundreds of hours. Like, there's no way around it. Like, the good news is content has been democratized. There's tons of tutorials. There's tons of things on YouTube. There's very affordable, some unaffordable courses on web design and how to do it. The key is you either have to dedicate yourself to, I'm going to log all of these hours to learn it, and B, for any of us who are technophobes, we have to get over the technophobe scare, right? Because for a lot of us, the tech of it is scary. But the good news is a lot of the platforms that have been created make managing the website once it's built pretty easy, right? Like, so if you can get that like base created, you can then go in and move things and change text and, you know, be pretty good with it. So then tell me this. Let's jump into some of the really important questions here. I'm a speaker. I know I've got a great message. Maybe I've been in industry for a bunch of years. Maybe I'm passionate about a message. I've been helping people, and I need my website to represent like someone that someone's gonna say, yes, this person should get booked. What aspects, what elements, from your opinion, needs to be in your website for you to be very successful? By the way, if anyone likes taking notes, now's a very good time to make sure your pen is out. So go ahead.
Okay. And do you mean like what elements, pieces to draw from and insert them into your website, correct?
Right. So when I'm thinking about what's going to make a website make me look credible, what elements do I need in them? What are the aspects that I want to look for to make sure I'm kind of going down a checklist, if you will,
Okay.
Of aspects?
Okay, perfect. I love this. I'll do my best because again, I'm a designer, not necessarily a teacher. So I'm going to do my best to bring it to you. And then if I'm not doing a good job, Arel, give me a little smack and say, no, dive deeper or do something else.
You got it.
But the number one thing when someone comes to your website that you have to prove is that you are not a risk, because people do not want to gamble with thousands of dollars or even hundreds of dollars. So
Please write that down, because you simplified, like, I kid you not, I've been trying to explain websites to people, and I think you simplified it to the simplest message. I want to bring you in, and if I'm going to gamble with thousands of dollars, I want to know it's a safe bet. I want to know it's not a risk. It's amazing. Go ahead.
Yeah. So how you can do that, number one, if you have video and anyone can create video and knowing what to do, you want to put video on your website for two reasons. Number one, when someone visits your site, they see your face, they hear your voice, they can imagine you at their event, working with them. They want to be your friend. The next best thing is if you don't have video yet, or you can't scramble quick enough to get video, is you've got to have some professional photos. And for me, I'll be honest, when I started, I took professional photos because we've all got a friend who either is a photographer or who wants to be a photographer. and they're going to bring all their expensive equipment and practice with you. So I found a curtain, I found a curtain, and that was the stage behind me. And you take that photo and that becomes your banner image. So you need that proof that someone, when they go to your website, they think, number one, this person is a speaker. Like there's no question in their mind.
And what was it? You were telling me earlier, you did a little trick when you were very, very, very first starting about the empty stage and the video with no sound.
Yes. Yeah, this is good too. Yeah. So the way I build websites, and I'll show you mine later, is that you can show video of you speaking, which shows maybe your energy. If you're an upbeat person and your target client is going to want that, then you can show video, take short clips literally on your phone and with some good lighting and show you speaking, doing the motions. If you're trying to get students engaged, you're a youth speaker, you might be going like this, and pretending you're getting them to call back or to yell. And you're moving around the stage because students love that. They want to be engaged. Or maybe it's you're in the corporate market and you just got a suit and you get one of those mics, you get one and you're on stage and you walk around and you pretend you're having your point. Find a classroom, get a theater, ask around. We found a friend of a friend who is a principal of a school, let us into the theater. So we presented to no one and recorded it. But all you need is that backdrop and then show yourself speaking and some tight shots. You get those tight shots. Again, the close-ups, people love it. And they can't tell what's behind you. And then what you can do is on the header of your website, you can basically tell the program to play seconds 1 through 7, and then 30 through this, and this through this. So it takes those tight shots and cuts, and it's like, oh, dude, this guy or girl speaks.
And there's a lot of websites where you go into the website and there's just like a video playing in the background and there's text over it. And we'll in a little bit give some examples so people can visualize it. But if you've ever been to a website and there's text and there's like a video playing in the background, that would be an incredible thing to do. Your first video is you just kind of talking, obviously, if you're just in your living room, don't have your kids running in the back, and you can just make that as a background, right? Of course, video with you actually speaking is the best bet, right? There's no question, real video, real footage. But for some of us right now, we may have had tons of experience speaking, but we don't have any good footage of it, right? So if you're in that position, you literally can get a video created where, look, I think high school or colleges ain't in session right now, at least. So if you got any hookups at college, just like ask them. Ain't nobody on campus. High school is going to be ending soon. So I know a lot of you are like, oh, Rel, but what about COVID? The kids aren't in the classrooms right now, but people are still getting access to it. So if you can find a friend who'd be saying, yeah, I'd be willing to bring you in because there's no one there, you'll be surprised you can actually get in, get some videos of you either on stage. If you can do something like, again, worst case, I'm going to give you, hold on, let me give you two clues here. I'm going to give you 2 tips, all right? I'm going to speak to some of y'all who just started. I'm going to speak right to your soul right now, okay? Number 1, you cannot do a video that clearly looks like you're in your living room and pretend that you're speaking, okay? I don't want you to do that. I've seen people do that, and I'm like, everyone can tell you are in your living room. So don't try to trick me. It's not going to work. Like, you have to have like a blank background or, literally buy a curtain on Amazon for like $50 and get a tight shot of you with a curtain in the background, and then that might look like it. So that works, right? But that's good. In addition to that, what I would tell anyone, just out of curiosity, how many people here in the chat, you don't have a video right now, but you need a video? Is anyone in that place? Because I don't want to spend too much time on this. If everyone's like, Aurel, we got a video, what you talking about? Okay. Is there anyone who needs a video but doesn't have one? Okay. I got one person. Everyone else has a video. Okay. Okay. No, more people are coming in than needed. Okay. I'm going to say this next part and then we'll move on. Okay. So I got you, Nikita, Mariella, Mike, and Brandon, right? The next option is to do a video, right, where one of the videos is you in like your office, right, or whatever is your workspace, right? If you need to go to a a co-working space. The good news is I don't think co-working spaces have opened up right now, right? So if you contact any local co-working space and be like, yo, could I give you $10 to come in? It's just going to be me, or $20, whatever. They probably will say, yeah. It all depends on their relationship and their need and what's legal, right? But literally, if you can have a nice background, right, come in and make it an introduction. So I would record this and be, make sure it's bright daylight outside and be like, hey, everyone, welcome to the site. This is Arel Moody here. I'm so excited about the opportunity for me to come to your organization, to your school, and impact your people in a positive way. Then I do another video where it's literally just me against like a wall with like a tight shot, and I'm like talking, and then like I'll cut to it, and then I'll come back to me. So it's me sharing my energy. It's me sharing who I am. It's me letting people get a sense of who is Arel. And then I can have some friends who I've impacted make a video on their phone, send it to me through like WhatsApp Messenger or Dropbox or Google Drive or whatever. And then I can cut into that video of people going, oh my gosh, Nikita is the best thing since sliced bread. I once had a bread slicer and I traded it in so I can see Nikita speak because she is literally the best thing that's ever happened to us. And then you cut that in and you can use that to get started, right? But this is where you are to get started. Eventually, you do want to invest or have your client record you so you can get that high quality video. That's all I'm gonna say on videos because it's very important, because ain't nobody in 2020 and beyond gonna book you to speak if you don't have a video of you speaking, okay? It's just not gonna happen. Okay, back to you, Jake.
Awesome. The second thing that you can do is borrow credibility from the organizations that you've served. Whether you've served them because you've worked there in the past, or hopefully it's because you've spoken there. I don't know. You have spoken there.
You speak there.
You speak there. But I always put logos on my website. And I know this is controversial to some people because they're like, hey, you didn't get the rights to use that. You're going to get sued. But if you've served an organization and I have great testimonials from them, I will use their logo. And if I get a cease and desist letter from a lawyer, I'll take it down. But to me, borrow credibility from the people who love you. So use that on your website. Those types of just logos, you'll see speakers use a lot from companies they've served. And then even better is if you can attach a testimonial to that logo or that image, that photo. What people say about you just gets received 10 times better than you saying something about you. So at first when I started, I asked for my friends who are in positions that I wanted to target. They were prevention educators, they were school counselors, and I just said, hey, can you write something really nice about me? And some of them had seen me speak as well, which was great. Other ones haven't seen me speak, but they could still say something really nice about Jake is so engaging, you just want to be around him, and he's ready to serve youth, things like that. So those kind of things are going to build.
And that right there is clutch, right? And I want to address how clutch that is, right? For some of you who are like, I've impacted a bunch of people, and I know I'm good at it, but I'm also looking for testimonials. I want to reiterate what Jake said because it's so important. I could have like a really good friend of mine who is a teacher, who knows like I am a great mentor, who's seen me do great work, and they can give a testimony about who I am, and it's 100% authentic. So if they're saying Arel is super engaging, charismatic, looks a little bit like if Boris Cujo and Shamar Moore had a baby, he doesn't look anything like Kanye West. Like, whatever they're gonna say, right? But they're talking about who I am. Arel Moody is engaging, charismatic. Whenever I see him interact with youth, they listen. That could be a testimonial that he's seen me like at an after-school program where I volunteered to be a mentor talking to my mentee, and he noticed that. So it's not inauthentic. I want none of you to lie, none of you to say anything that's not true. If they're giving you a testimony about who you are, it's 100% real and 100% authentic.
Yeah, and I think that if you're on this webinar, I'm also with Arel and thinking that you haven't gotten to the point where you're making thousands of dollars with your speech yet. So that's why we're giving a lot of these tips, I think. And for me, it was really important because why I said, hey, let's do this webinar is because I remember going through TSS and before that, imagining myself sitting at the computer, because I told you I had hundreds of hours training myself on how to do this, but those 100 hours sucked. So if there's anything that I can give you to make it easier, like that's exactly what I want to do while we're here together. So after you have some credibility based on who you served or people that love you, the other thing that you want to do on your website is make it very, very clear exactly what you do and who you serve. You'd be so surprised how many websites I go to, even for speakers, and I can't tell you what they do. I can't tell you their target audience. I can't tell you how they're going to make their lives better. And a lot of this stuff is things that I've actually learned from a Rails course. And I'm taking yours again too, by the way, so I'm getting even better. But it's like once you realize what's on a web page and why it works, you start to notice all the ones that don't. So when you think about creating your content, every word, every photo, every video is helping bring your ideal customer into that buying decision. And that leads to the final thing that you need on your website, which is a call to action. If the call to action on your website is book me, then you have to have a way for them to book you through a contact form, through a calendar. I don't think it's really, if you only charge a couple $100, maybe it's a credit card, a PayPal button, but most of us for high dollar things, it's more common to see on a website, a book an appointment so that you can close the sale using the strategy.
100%. In speaking, this isn't like Amazon where people are just going to let you put in your credit card and book you sight unseen. I personally don't know of any speaker who books something without a phone call happening, right? So either an agent is on the call or the call is directly with you. So I would recommend the best call to action. Again, a call to action, also known as a CTA. So you might hear that lingo. Means you want to make it very crystal clear to contact me, request more information. I find contact me to be the easiest phrase. It's what they're looking for. Create a contact form. It is, in my opinion, super important to have a contact form that asks certain questions. So when they fill it out, you know what you're dealing with. I personally want to know their name and I want to know their title on the contact form. Why do I want to know their title? Can anyone guess why it's important for you to know their title? Because if they're reaching out to book me, that means that title probably could book me in other places too. So a lot of times on people's contact form, it's like name, email, message. It's like, yo, but you got to know, like, what if that person, like, it's not a good fit or whatever, and then you lose them? No, you want to be, I want name, I want title, I want email. Then I want, how did you hear about me? Because I want to know what's my marketing that's working. Like, where should I put more money, more energy? Then I put budget range, and I give them a range because I want to know before we get on the phone, can they afford me? And if they can, it's a way easier conversation when I know they say they can, right? So these things are super important. So the contact form has got to be not only in one place, but every page has to like make it easy for someone to, from this experience, go ahead and contact you. And I can't tell you how many websites I've been to and Jake has been to where there's like no contact button, or it's hidden in like the footer or the bottom of the page, or like the contact button's not like, displayed in a way that's easy to see compared to other things. So I just want to emphasize it because I just jumped on my soapbox. I'm gonna jump off it. I just get really upset when I go to speakers' websites and there's no contact button, or it's so hard to find, or they make it like difficult, or it's like, oh, here's my email, contact us if you have questions. Like, you're capture valuable information so you can use it to be better in the future.
Yeah, and we're lazy. Like, you just have to assume that everyone is lazy. We don't want to search for it. We don't want to read everything in your site. It's got to be prominent everywhere. I saw a question, would the testimony be video or written when we're talking about testimonials?
Yeah.
Video, in my opinion, is always better. And you can do other things on your website. You can have your written testimonials and make a scroll bar so that it keeps going. And it looks like you have a bunch of testimonials because you've got 10 of them on a loop. And so the person's not sitting there watching. They just see these testimonials coming through.
Yeah.
And it shows your credibility and that you do this professionally and often. And again, if there's a secret from what I did to launch my own career, it's to make people believe, because I had to believe at first that I was going to do this frequent and often, and they didn't know how hard I was hustling to make that happen. But we said it would happen, and it did, because we put in the work and we made the marketing happen. And the belief comes with that, through all stages of the sale, from when someone clicks on your website for the first time, or when I'm getting their phone number to follow up with them, and then to the sales call.
And
So
that's
video
really,
best in second.
yeah, Jake, that's really dope. And I want to make sure people quote what you said, because I actually think that's genius. If you only have like 5 or 6 or 7 testimonials from people, if you put them on a loop, to the naked eye, it might look like it's just an unlimited amount of testimonials, right? So that's actually really genius. This is why you know what you're doing, Jake. This is why you know what you're doing.
Right. And then the final thing, besides, making it simple, clear, easy for them to see and understand who you are, you're credible, you maybe show some videos to add to that credibility. The third, I said the third thing, that was like 10 things. And the third thing is the design. Like there's no easy way to say, like, get good at design. You have to practice. And if you're building your own website, go and look at some of the best speakers' websites and ones that fit your style. Look at a Rel site, look at mine, and pick the elements that you want to emulate. And you can start to see that there's more spacing between the words and pictures. They use white space to draw the eye from one element to another. You'll see that the margins, so the sides, the words don't go all the way to the end most of the time, unless they're using a specific design element. But you're going to start to notice these design elements if you practice or if you spend a lot of time on it. And the other part of design is colors. So based on your brand, your logo, your feel, what you want to convey, just consistency in colors, 1 to 3 is best. And what you'll notice is that all of the world's best brands have 1 to 3 colors, with Google being the exception. They're like the rainbow. Google's the exception, but we kind of can't survive without them. So we let it slide. But you'll notice those brands do that. And what happens when you do that is you subconsciously borrow credibility by people thinking that you're a big major brand.
Yep.
And I think that's a mistake we make, is we put on crappy pictures, we put a ton of text, and then our design isn't good. And unfortunately, that just says, hey, you don't get paid to speak.
And you know what's so fascinating about this? You're touching on some incredible points, because if you look at a lot of like the really good websites, they're not text heavy. It's not like it's just a whole bunch, because when we're creating it, it's like we have so much we want to say. So what a lot of people do is they put all of this text, and in reality, when the visitor reads it, they go, I'm not going to read all that. But the best websites, the main parts, they hit you with impact videos, impact pictures, impact phrases, short, punchy, what's called headlines. And then typically you can click to learn more. And the person who's doing that wants to learn more, right? They want to go to a blog post. Like blog posts have a title and you click on it and then it takes you to the full blog post. It's not like the whole thing, right? So you want to make sure you're not too wordy, as he's saying, because the use of white space is incredibly important. And the colors thing, there's 2 things. I want to talk a little bit more about colors, because I think this is going to lead into my next question. What I noticed is if you look at major brands like Facebook and IBM, they like certain like simple color palettes. It's not like he's saying Google has all that, but in reality, that's just their logo. Like if you look at, a lot of their pages, it's not like it's glaring. So what I encourage everyone to do is when you choose your colors, you can look up online which colors, it takes time to decide which colors are the best colors. And Jake, like maybe you might give some insight into color, but there's colors that complement other colors. A lot of people just choose an orange and they go, oh, well, I like yellow, so I'm gonna do orange and yellow. And then that's super difficult for the eye to see. So there's primary and secondary colors. And primary and secondary colors need to be used in distinct ways. And Jake knows about like primary colors should be used for call to action buttons. secondary color should be used for, maybe other text. So when we get into this idea of design, what I'm really curious about is, in your opinion, from a design perspective, right? What causes a website to look like this person is a free speaker or $100 speaker versus this speaker is like they're a 5,000 or more? Like, I know if I'm going to get on the phone with them, I got to pull out my, like, we're spending. What do you notice are some mistakes that people make that make them look like a lower end speaker?
I think the major one would be like I don't even know how to pinpoint, so I'm just going to start talking and we'll see if it works. But imagine like an old potato sack, like the ones you do the races in when you're a kid, and you put both your legs in there and you run. When your site looks like that, like it's pixelated. The colors aren't like vibrant, or it doesn't make a statement. They're not consistent. Wow, I'm really bad at metaphors and analogies right now, but like when you can like see.
You don't want a potato sack website, people. You don't want a potato sack for your website.
No, you want like a Skittles, like Skittles with bright red on the outside.
I got an idea, Jake. Why don't I'm going to make you the host. Why don't you show us one of the websites that you built?
Okay, all right, that'll make it easier.
You know what? Yeah, it might make it easier. I'm going to give you the controls, and you can go ahead and share. And show us one of the websites you built so we can get a sense of why it's built that way and why this design element gives the impact you want, so you don't look like a sack of potatoes.
Okay, cool. All right, let's do Google Chrome share. All right, can you see this website?
Yeah, I can see it. Can everyone in the chat see the website? Okay, cool. People can see it.
Okay. I'm going to use mine because I'm more familiar with it. I can talk about the elements a little bit more. But okay, this is the one that launched my career. Probably due for an update in 6 months or so. Could do that now. But what you'll see as you scroll, there's a couple colors, black and orange. That tells me, all right, he's got a brand. He's got a brand. I know, like, I think there's something subconscious that says he's got a brand, it's professional, it's gonna cost money. Using a bunch of different colors doesn't say there's any cohesiveness. I don't think it costs money. The second thing is the best websites right here. I tell them, I'm going to prevent substance use at your school. I know that my target customer would pay to have that happen. And then I have some keywords that I know is going to catch their eye. Right now, vaping is really hot. So vaping, drugs, and alcohol is right in the middle of this.
And I want to jump in because there's two things I want everyone to notice that he's doing. And what this is called above the fold, right? When someone first comes to your website, the very first thing they can see is called above the fold. This is the impact. This is where you don't want to waste or write a long thing here. You want it to be quick, punchy. Now, this is a video example. Now, obviously, you've done speaking, so like you have clips of your speaker and other speakers who speak under your brand speaking. But this is an example of a background with a video that has no sound, right? So this is playing. So for anyone who's like, oh man, I don't have a video with great sound, you could just, for argument's sake, put something like that. But I want you to catch this. It says at your school, right? It's really clear. He's not trying to motivate you about going after goals in life, right? That might be tied into the message, but he's clear on what he's doing and where he's doing it. And that right there. I mean, if only someone saw this, they would go, this person clearly knows what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we wanted to do the video is because we know that, and maybe this is another thing that makes you stand out. We know that in our field, it's not very fun. So we wanted to portray fun. We've got people dancing on stage. We got us talking, connecting with people. So these are those quick video clips that Arel and I were talking about before. And here you have the call to action. Is the number one thing I want you to do when you visit this site, after you know that I prevent substance use at your school, is I want you to watch my video. So when I click on this, it doesn't shoot you to another page. You get to watch it right here. And that's important. People don't like moving around. So you play that, you watch it, and I know that my target customer, when they watch this video, then they're gonna want us. They're gonna know how we're different, how we're fun, energetic, about how we just don't tell people to just say no, because that doesn't work. It's all in the video. And we use Arel's like interview style. You can see, I'll just fast forward it so you can see the shots. But yeah, crazy music. We got us spinning around. That's Tomas, who speaks with me as well. Us on stage. And here's the interview part. Another thing Arel had told me that I think is a really good added bonus for video is that this looks professional because someone used a professional camera and the background is kind of fuzzy. What I do is I go on theknot.com, like tie the knot, theknot.com, and I hire wedding videographers on weekdays because they charge a lot on weekends when they're shooting a wedding. That's going to be $2,000. But on a weekday, they're not making any money, and they'll take a gig for $100, $200 to come shoot for you.
I'm going to pause right here. That is genius. I've actually never heard anyone say that before. That is, if y'all don't realize how genius my man just put on you, a wedding photographer off season in the middle of the week, they're like a wedding videographer, wedding photographer, right? Like they're not making money during the week. So like I could sit at home and like chill on my computer, or I can make a couple $100 helping this. Jeez Louise, dude. That's actually super genius.
Thanks, man. I hope you all use it. Theknot.com. All right, so they've watched the video. I've got that thing I told you to do with some logos that we've got some press coverage. I tell them what Vive 18 is because they think, well, what's Vive, what's Vive? I don't explain the brand right here, but I tell them it's born out of a movement. It's peer-led sustainable prevention program for teens. And it starts with a speaking engagement, and then your students can start a club. And then I include this. I'm going to reduce drug, alcohol, vaping, and prescription misuse. I could decrease bullying and social isolation and prevent social media scandals. Now, this is basically you knowing your target customer, asking them, what are your biggest pain points? And then, can I make a difference in it? I know bullying is related to social isolation. And social isolation, if you're not using, you're left out. My story completely goes into this. So I want to highlight those things. Ask yourself, how many times can I put in my website that I'm solving their problem? I've got one up here that I'm going to prevent substance use. I've got 3 down here. So yeah, I can't emphasize that enough. You have to keep telling them, I'm going to solve your problem. I understand you. Here is how does it work? They're confused because they think, wait, if they watch the video, they're like, oh, you're going to invite us to host sober parties? So do I pay you to come throw a party, or do I pay you to come speak? And if they're confused, they do not buy. They do not take action. They do not contact you. But if they understand it, then you've got a chance. You've got a shot. So speak, join, Vive. Cool. It's even a little intriguing, so they're going to read more. Want more info about Vive 18 at your school? Another call to action. Go ahead, Arel.
I want everyone, I'm going to jump in real quick. I want everyone to notice, he's not crazy killing you with text, right? It's not this long essay that he wrote on why drugs are bad and why if I'm coming in, I want to be intrigued enough to make this call. So at this point, the Contact Us button pops up because I will be intrigued enough to go, I need to know more. Let's contact them. So I want you to notice that's really powerful. Lots of use of white space. It's not crazy text heavy, which is super important.
Yep. And you can see a few design elements of, we have a wavy line instead of a straight one. There's just something about, and maybe you asked that, Arel, like what makes it look like it's not like you are paid to speak. Even that, you can tell that a designer made this website. And when you can tell that, you know that that person does something worth paying for. So even just simple things like lines being bent and skewed looks great. The other thing is, I say that it's a research-based program because I know that that's a question everyone asks me. So I put it there in bold, and I didn't need to say all this other stuff, but I wanted to emphasize more things that they talk about. So this is jargon from my field: positive social norming, peer-led programming, education through experience. These are the buzzwords that they want to hear to say, he understands me and my job, because my boss is going to ask me all these things before I have to hire him. Here's a video testimonial. And here I have a written one right next to it. Now you could argue with this one. We purposely did this a little different to experiment, but a designer could argue and say, hey, this looks kind of homemade. Your margins are tight, things like that. It's got a little bit of a margin here. It kind of looks like, did you want to make it the whole way, but just didn't? But those are the kind of things, if my whole site was like this and little bit of space, it actually would look homemade. And I would say that I probably wouldn't get as many gigs. A lot of people would leave my website, or when I came to say, hey, I'm a $2,500 speaker, they'd be like, no, you're not.
And this is
about 500.
This is a big part here, Jake. I want to emphasize this for everyone listening. If it looks like you haven't invested in yourself, they're going to subconsciously or consciously say, why should I invest in you? And what I constantly hear people say is, oh, well, let me get a bunch of $2,500 speaking engagements. And once I booked a whole bunch of speaking engagements, I'm going to use that money to build the website. And it's like saying, once I get six-pack abs, then I'll start working out, right? Like it doesn't work that way. It's not once I get six-pack abs, then I'll work out. You got to work out to get the six-pack abs. You've got to have the right branding so that you can get paid what you're worth. And again, the investment up front, will pay just continually, right? And I want to talk about that page is so there's a difference between a one-page site and a multiple page site, right? This is called, I think, parallaxes if you want to get geeky. Talk to us about the difference between a one-page site like the one you used and a multiple page site, and what the differences are.
Okay. The one-page site is basically, it's like your business card. It's going to do the trick. It's going to explain who you are. You can put videos, testimonials. You can put anything you do on a 5 or 10 page website, but it's scrollable. And what we know is that people like to scroll. So it's a good business card. When you meet somebody, send them to your landing page. But if you want a site that you're going to grow into, maybe it's going to be used, you're going to have a blog, and you're going to drive people to your website to spend time there and read your articles, watch your videos, maybe buy products, things like that. Then that's that 5-page website, which is more like a portfolio. You know, you got your one-page business card website, and then if you need a portfolio to talk more about it, do some more SEO, some blogging, which are very helpful for sales, then you need that 5-page website to do those kind of things. Because when you put too much information on a scrollable website and it gets too filled up, then it's kind of like, it doesn't make sense. The people don't have fun. They don't know the call to action because it comes so late, things like that.
That's a big design element right there, right? So a big design element is if you want to make your site scrollable to like kind of almost replicate social media where people spend probably all their time, you can't have an incredible amount of text. But if you're like, I want to choose a portfolio, then each page they click on can create, that's a type of website that can have more information, right?
Yeah, and it might even be based on your personality type. Because if you are serving customers who really like to dive in and they need to know everything, the engineers, whoever else needs to know everything, they want the 5 pages. They want to read about you. They want the picture. So go to other successful websites of people in your field, see what they're doing, because if it's working for them and they've spent money on it, finding out, hiring people, copywriters, web designers, researchers. They've been in the field for a long time. They're getting booked. They know what they're doing. So look at that and see what's happening in your field. And then you can determine, do I need a portfolio or do I need that business card website?
Awesome. Now let's talk about getting into the nitty gritty of, all right, I want to go out there and I want to build this website, right? Am I gonna do it myself? Am I gonna hire someone? If I build it, let's say I hire someone, let's say I try to do it myself. What platforms do you feel like are the easiest to maintain your website, to add stuff, drag stuff? Because everyone always says WordPress, but personally, I feel like WordPress is still built for the like web geek and not built for the everyday human. So what do you feel like is the best out there? And you may like WordPress and I just crapped all over it. But
what the heck? Yeah, let's do something fun. If everyone would please put in the chat box, what web platforms have you heard of or tried or used? Just take a second and put that in there because I'm curious as what you've all experienced so far. All right, we got
Squarespace, WordPress, Wix. I'm a geek and I've been building WordPress sites. WordPress, Shopify, Wix.
Okay, awesome. So the great thing about websites like Squarespace and Wix is that they have a drag and drop template. So if you are building your own website, that is the best way to go. The only downfall is that you have limitations in plugins and different tools you can attach to your website. So at some point you're going to grow out of it. Now, if I could prefer, some of my clients say, no, I want you to use Wix and things like that. And I'm like, okay, you're paying me, so I'll listen to what you say. But it's going to limit what I can do with your site. And what ends up happening with Wix, GoDaddy, Squarespace, and these other sites is they've got you because sometimes they've hosted your site, because they got you building your site. They charge you for plugins. So it ends up costing you in the long run. They'll add costs for an email if you want your own email with your URL on it. Or if you want to make your site secure, there's a little button that comes with a site that says, this is not secure or this is secure. And to me, it's like the biggest scam ever. It's just a way to get $15 from you. But certain people don't charge you that. So I'll say this, web hosting, this is the person who stores the data for your website. They're going to let you store all your information there. My preference is Bluehost. They're cheap. They allow you to have a ton of domains with them for no extra cost. And they do deals all the time. If you want to like buy a new domain name, when I say domain name, that's the URL that you type in the search bar. So arelmoody.com. And then, so hosting, they're awesome and they don't charge extra for things. They give you free security on your website, things like that. I love them. I've been there. I've switched 3 times since I've been with them for years. I haven't switched. Bluehost, bluehost.com.
So am I building my website on Bluehost?
That's you won't. So from Bluehost, that's where you host your website. And you have like a monthly fee or a yearly fee. From there, you need a website builder. So what's great about Bluehost is that your website builder often will come for free with it. So you can download WordPress, Wix, Squarespace. I know WordPress is free with it. And that's where I work. My favorite with WordPress is, why my favorite is WordPress right now is this. I'm not even like a master coder, you know, like a full-on CSS, JavaScript, like all these different languages. What I do is I know that my customers and clients want to manage their own website. They don't want me to make it extremely complicated. So what I do is I take a tool, like there's one called Elementor that you download into WordPress. Again, this is why WordPress is so genius, is there's thousands of these plugins, these tools that you integrate into your site for free. And then it turns your WordPress website that used to be all geeky and nerdy and you needed to know code. And now it's a drag and drop, just like Wix.
Wait, hold on. So see, that the reason why I hated WordPress is because there's so much programming and coding, and I'm like, everyone says it's easy. I'm like, it's not easy. But you're saying you can get all the benefits of WordPress. Dang, so you can add a plugin and make it drag and that's
Yes.
genius.
Yeah, dude. And that's what I do. So for all my clients is I know that they might not want me to manage their website. So when I build it with a tool so that they have control, and then I teach them how to use that website so they're not stuck in that vicious cycle. Because maybe some of you have, I remember doing this myself. My very first website before I became a designer, that's probably why I became a designer. I hired someone, literally, I was a college student. I won $10,000 for my business, and I spent half of it on a website that was terrible. Terrible. And I didn't know how to change anything. And when I went to ask them for support, they were like, oh, it's going to be another $75 an hour. And I'm like, I spent all my money. So I hate that about the reputation and what happens with website designs. And that's why I like doing what I do now is I want to empower people to own their own website so they have control of their business, they can make changes, and they don't fall into this big money pit.
And that's the thing so what's so fascinating is WordPress, everyone always says it's the best, everything's got to be WordPress because it's the most SEO friendly, it's been around the longest. And I've always been like, I don't want, because I've had people, like literally, I kid you not, I'm going to tell you a very personal story. I got to share this because this is like super like embarrassing, but it's just real life. I recently updated my website, right? And I spent an incredible amount of money. I spent $10,000 on the orelmoody.com. So if you want to go see what a $10,000 website looks like, you can go to my website because that's what I spent on it. However, man, can I pull this up? Hold on. I think I'm gonna be able to pull this up. I'm gonna show you exactly. Have you ever heard of the Wayback Machine?
I think you showed me that actually.
Yeah. So the Wayback Machine, for anyone who doesn't know what the Wayback Machine is, it lets you look at like what websites looked like, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So if you want to like have some nostalgia, go look at what your Facebook page looked like 10 years ago. So you go to this website and it'll show you what your website looked like 10 years ago, right? So I want to show you something. Hold on, because this is really important. I want to show you what happened here. Can I share my screen? Make me the host again, Jake, because I got to show everyone this.
Okay. How do I make you this?
Click on participants on the bottom.
Okay.
And then hover over my name where it says more.
Here we go. Thank you, man. All right, change host. Just click that.
Another host. Okay. So I'm gonna take you guys. Hold on. I want y'all to see this. Okay. So this is what my website looked like. I'm not joking. This is what it looked like up until 2 years ago. Right. So I want you to see, I'm not even playing with y'all. This is what my website looked like. And look, I want you to see this. It says copyright 2013, but if you look at the date up here, this is 2018, right? And I used to be so self-conscious about my website, and I literally had people say, you know what? When you spoke, I was so impressed with you because based on your website, I thought you weren't gonna be that good. And I would have this moment and it would cut like a dagger in my heart. But the reason why I never updated literally even the bottom of it and why it still looked like this is because I had this built in like 2015 or 14 or whatever, when I thought it was legit. And I didn't know how to change it. I legit did it because it was WordPress. I didn't know how to go in and change it and update it and make it look like I wanted it to look. And literally, I didn't know how to change the logo. This logo is my logo from 2011, right here. This logo right here. It's mountains and like, it's a whole thing. And I wasn't even using that logo. The logo wasn't on my invoices. It wasn't on my, but I couldn't change it because I didn't know how to use WordPress, right? So now I want you to get a visual of this. And now my website looks like this, okay? So obviously it's a very different experience when you first come to it, when you first see it, right? And it uses a lot of the same design elements that Jake is talking about in terms of the credibility, the white spacing, the sections. Like I have more of a portfolio website because I think that's what works for me, right? You got to choose what works for you. But dude, I can't tell you. All right, I'm gonna let you be the host again. I can't tell you how frustrated I was because I couldn't make the changes on WordPress, and now you're telling me there's a thing I could have just added. I had no idea.
Right, you get it. You know exactly.
Okay, I'm done. I'm done. I'm off my high horse. I'm just going about. I wish I would have been on this webinar 2 years ago before I dropped 10 grand.
Right. All right. So that's another thing. Is that when you mess around with Wix and things like that, it's harder to make it mobile friendly. Whereas when you use WordPress and Elementor, it's going to look great on all devices.
Talk about that. Wait, talk about that. Because websites, my old website, the one that I had up to 2 years ago, was miserable on a phone. It wasn't. So talk about when you build it, it has to do what for each device?
So your web browser will recognize what device you're on. So if you log on from a phone, you have to code a new website or you have to create a new website. For Wix, Squarespace, they have tools in there to do it, but that's when it's not the most friendly. When you do it in WordPress, it's a lot simpler because when they structure your website, you do it in blocks, and therefore it knows what you're trying to do. Like it's kind of intuitive. It's like, oh, you set these blocks next to each other. People read left to right, so I'm going to put this below there. It's a lot less work. And if you're tackling your own website, this is also when you're like done, you're like, woohoo, you're done with your website. You did blood, sweat, and tears. You hated your life for 5 months. You made excuses. You couldn't email anybody. You're like, you want to pull out your hair. And then you think you're done and somebody shows you on their phone what your website looks like. And you're like, oh my God. And you die inside. It's so bad. Someone said, Nikita, Elementor is the truth. Yeah. So the easier they make it for that, the better. Elementor, WordPress, that's why I love it.
So then building in WordPress allows you the opportunity to build something and build it once. And then with the right plugins, it makes it also mobile friendly and tablet friendly and all that jazz.
Right. Yeah. And there's simple tutorials that if you're doing this and you want to spend the time, you can watch and you get how to make the changes. And there's no craziness to it. Someone else asked also about GoDaddy and things like that. What I found and why I'm like super into Bluehost and WordPress is that they're clear on their prices and there's no extra fees. That's why I dislike everyone else is they hide prices and there's extra fees everywhere. So if you can switch, do it or have somebody help you. Yeah.
Let me tell you how right you are about that. So I have GoDaddy, right? And I have URLs and websites that I bought that was like $2.99, and I was like, yo, that's a great price. But then the next year it's like $22.99, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like not pay it because I'm already locked in? So they give you a 1-year price, and then you're kind of locked in, and then they up it. And what are you gonna do? I probably own like 50 URLs, and you pay them every year, and then they go, oh, your hosting plan is getting full. You want to up it to the next one? And I'm like, yo, of course, like I want my website to show. So like GoDaddy they are a for-profit enterprise, and they are all about for-profit, like for sure. Yeah. So like now that I didn't know about Bluehost actually until now, because I had One-on-One. I'll tell you a very quick personal story. Me and One-on-One went to war. I'm going to tell you this. I hate One-on-One. You'll never hear me badmouth any company except One-on-One. And I hate them. I'm going to tell you why I hate them, right? I apparently had my card that was connected to my automatic billing for One-on-One. It expired. I got a new one in the mail. And when you get a new credit card in the mail, you're like, oh, now I got to go through all the things that I have automatic billing on, and I got to update it. And this was back in the day, and I didn't have systems like I have now. So I just thought like, oh, they're going to bill me and everything's good. I didn't even think about it. So then one day someone says your website's down. A client of mine says, I was trying to contact you, but they had my email. I said, my website's down. So I contact 1&1 and go, yo, my website's down. Why is it down? It was like, because you're delinquent on your payment. I was like, oh, my bad. Like, I'll pay it. And they say, no, you can't pay it. You're on our blacklist. I was like, what? And it was like, we've blacklisted you. You were like delinquent for like 6 months or something. So we took your website down and blacklisted you. I said, okay, let me pay you what I owe you. And if there's any fees, I'll pay it. And please get my site up. And they say, no, you're blacklisted. You're done. I'm not even, I wish I was making this up. And I was like, you want to go to war, Balake? Are you serious right now? Because that's not how business should function. So literally, I said, okay, fine. Give me my domain name back if I'm blacklisted, right? And I will just go with a different company and not use you anymore. And they say, no, we own the domain name now, arelmoody.com, and we're not going to release it because you're blacklisted. I'm like, are you serious? Like, do you understand? I will give you money and it was a mistake. And they said, we're sorry. And I'm on the phone with the rep. She's like, once you're blacklisted, the computer won't let me do anything for your account. You're pretty much like dead. She didn't say this, but the summary is you're dead to us. So I'm like, yo, I am a business owner that my website literally, and I kid you not, as a speaker, the most important asset you have is your website, period. Above everything else. I'm like, this is my most important asset. 1&1, please give it back to me. And they said no. So I said, oh, word? You want to go to war? And I went to war with 1&1. And that's why I still hate them to this day. I literally went to their Twitter account, and like for every like 5-10 minutes, I'm just tweeting at them. You guys stole my website. You blacklisted me. I'm willing to pay you. You won't let me pay you. Like, and I'm like, I'm hoping every single person who's trying to do research right now, whether they should work with you, sees my tweets. Then I would go on Facebook and leave comments. Literally, I would take one comment, copy it, and on every single post, I would copy and paste it on every single one of their posts.
That's probably why there's so much distrust. And like, when I think about even, website hostings, they're going after pennies. They're going to drill you until you're annoyed at them. And even like when I think of people doing what I'm doing, is some people don't like me just because they know I design websites. They're like, I know you're kind. You pinch those pennies. And I'm like, no, that's the reason why I'm doing it, is I want to empower people to own their websites, to understand and be able to use it. So it's like, dude, I can't even imagine going through that. That's insane.
So it was like, I went on Better Business Bureau. I gave them a 1-star rating. Like, I went to like Yelp. I would like, whatever it was, I was like, and I set an alarm on my phone to ring every hour, and I called them every hour. And I was like, this is Arel Moody. I need to get my website back. And like, then it was hilarious because I called one time and I said, this is Arel Moody. And the lady on the other line, I never spoke to her before. She says, we know who you are. And then finally, after like a week of me going straight like Rambo, I get an email from the vice president of the organization who says they're willing to make a one-time exception and remove me from their blacklist. Wow. And I said, for the rest of my life, I'm gonna hate you 1&1 for the rest. So anyway, I'm off. You just got me riled up. It's like you just said the name of a crazy ex, and you got me riled up, man.
Well, dude, no wonder I've never heard of 1&1s, because you ruined their reputation. So that's great.
I destroyed you 1&1. I took you down. 1&1. Always remember, you're down because of this face. Okay. All right, listen, Jake, you have given an incredible amount to us, and I have totally trashed 1&1. But look, we learned about how to create video, if we have it, if we don't have it. We learned about the importance of lighting, right? You can take a phone, like literally your cell phone in good lighting will get you great video, great pictures, and all of this incredible stuff. We learned about how to use the right colors and primary colors and secondary colors, the importance of the scroll. We learned about the business card website versus the portfolio website. We learned about the importance of using the right language, having a very clear call to action, and all these things. Now, one of the things you told me, and I still think you're a little, I know how much I spent on my website, okay? I know how much I spent on my website. So when you told me that you want to make an offer to the TSS people, for anyone who, look, you can go out and build it on your own, but if you want to have a professional who understands speakers because he's a speaker and you want somebody who understands websites and has spent hundreds of hours and you don't want to spend that much time. He said, hey, if anybody needs a website built, I'm willing to make an offer. And I said, cool. You know, I like to keep it affordable. But then when you told me the price, I was like, I wish you would have came to me like 2 years ago when I dropped 10 grand for my website, because it's not that much different than what I'm seeing you build. So anyway, you have something called, is it Website for Speakers?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about .org. Thank you. Tell me a little bit about that, and then the thing you're doing just for TSS because you're alumni for the family.
Okay. Yeah, basically, I started this because I was meeting people in my speaker group. So is the National Speakers Association. We go and network with other speakers, and everyone in the room was so impressed with my website. So I'd say, oh, let me see yours. And then I would see them, and I was underwhelmed by the website quality and the things that were going on. And some of them were very recent. They looked like they had been done 5-10 years ago. And I asked them how much they paid. And they were telling me $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, some $10,000, but they were not quality. And so I was thinking, I can help. Like, this is it. I'm a speaker. I understand the business. I want them to be successful. Like, I know that I cannot speak to all the topics, to all the people. If this is my way to contribute to the speaking community, past my own service to students, this was something I would enjoy. And I would alleviate this pain of, you know, website designers and all this bad stuff going on. This could be my way. So I started websitesforspeakers.org, and basically with the mission of, number one, creating awesome, clean websites that get you booked and allow you to charge more. Whether you're starting and you need a good, solid brand to get those first gigs and get paid for it, or you're seasoned, you've got some momentum and you need to take it to the other level. And the second thing is that I want to provide a guarantee, because I know that there are a lot of bad designers out there. I just provide 100% satisfaction guarantee. And I think that would help people trust web designers more. If you knew at the end of it, if you weren't satisfied, I'd give you your money back, then that would kind of rebuild the confidence in building a website or having someone build it. And then I would teach you. So I would create a website that you can run. And if you don't want to run it, then I would have really low cost packages to run it for you. But either way, you're going to be in control of your site. No one's going to hijack it. And you don't have to be frustrated at how to change an image or a text on your website. You can do it yourself, and it's very simple and easy. So that's kind of what I did, that I thought, this is what everybody needs. But since I'm a speaker, I want to do this for speakers first. And I thought of you and how much I got out of your system, and thought, if there's anyone else I can bring through your process faster, because the thing that's missing is their website, and they're frustrated and they're pulling their hair out trying to do it themselves, and it's slowing down their momentum and they're missing opportunities. Then during this time, like COVID, we're at home. This is our time to get this stuff done. So when schools or corporations or events open back up, they're going to be scrambling for speakers, and you will be ready for that. So
now, when you talk about timing, how, like, obviously every case is kind of case by case, but like, what have you seen if someone comes in and you can get what you need from them? What's a time frame someone can think about in terms of working with you, getting the website created, finished, and ready to show to the world?
Yeah, I estimate 3 to 6 weeks for every project.
3 to 6 weeks?
Yeah.
Dude, do you know how...
Yeah.
Do you know how long my website took to me?
How long?
I'm embarrassed now. It took me... Dude, it took 8 months. I
had a client who was working on on Wix for 2 years. For 2 years. And then I came in and did it, and she's like, this was the best decision I've ever made. Like, my business is free now. Like, I can do things.
I'm sorry. I got caught up. All right. So you can build the site in 3 to 6 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. And Arel, can I show him the gift, like what we're doing for him? Because you also too wanted to, if anybody does want a boost, that you were willing to share some things with them too.
Yep.
So let's do this. So what I'm willing to do for y'all is if you want the one-page website, the business card website, that's $1,500. The mobile-friendly responsive designs, $500, and then also the consultation on how to manage your site, it's $150. That's $2,150 for what I charge anybody else. But if anybody wants to do this, I'll do it for under $1,000. For $997, I'll do that, and it's 100% money back guaranteed. You don't have to pull out your hair anymore. You can, get your business ready to go. If anybody wants the $1,500 option, Arel was so nice because he's like, hey, give them room to grow. Do the 5-page portfolio so they don't have to hire you again, and I'm going to throw in some stuff. So he's throwing in his credit union course, which I think is so genius. I love it. And then a custom announcement email. And will you say something about that, Arel?
Absolutely. So for those of you who don't know, the credit union course I created, for any of you who have a business that you think you would love to take into schools and do speaking at schools, I found this incredible opportunity to be booked by, sponsored basically by credit unions. And here's the thing, every area has credit unions. They're people think of them as banks. They do the same thing a bank does, but to them, just so you know, it's like a 4-letter word. But imagine a credit union does everything a bank does, except it's a nonprofit. So they need to give their money back to the community. So there's an incredible way to partner with them. And I did one school, I did a 50-school tour with them. Literally, they booked me, they paid for me to go speak at 50 schools. And I did another credit union where they booked me to pay at 20 schools, right? So I'm like, no one is doing this, and it's a ridiculous opportunity. So I literally created everything for you on how to get in the credit union course. And then once Jake finishes your website, a lot of times people get stuck and they're like, well, now that it's done, what do I do? How do I get it out there? How do I position it so that people actually will come visit it? So I'm going to give you a announcement email that I found is really great at building excitement. So you can use that for social media. You can use that to your current email list, and you can share this with people so you can actually drive traffic and then ideally drive whether it's virtual or in-person presentation.
And on top of that, if you want that 5-page website, talk to any designer. I charge $2,500, which they will say is dirt cheap. They will not design a website for you for that cheap. So I normally do it for $2,500. I'll give you a blog page branded. We'll integrate your Facebook or your Instagram feed, any of that stuff. I'll work some SEO integration into your website. And if you don't love your logo, a lot of times a logo can be something that's holding you back. Or if you don't have one, I will design one for you. I'm very, very good at it. I have a friend that helps me because he's even better than I am. So we'll partner up. We'll do a logo if you want to update or if you want a new one. And then also, I just want to do another reassurance. So up to 2 weeks after you've received your website, if you find anything like, oh, dude, I just wish it had this, and you didn't think to ask, I'll provide changes up to 2 weeks after you tell me that the site is amazing. So you have the 100% guarantee and that too after. So normally that'd be $4,594, and I'm going to do it under $1,500. And you're going to get Arel's course to move your speech after. And yeah, I'm happy to give back, but I'm also it's a lot of work for a little money, but I was there. I know what it's like, and I do want to help. I want to be of service and help make you successful.
And these sites, these aren't templates, right? Like you're building it for each person.
Everyone is custom. So when I work in WordPress, you have to put in a template. So I'm not coding it, but I'm putting in a generic, simple template, and I'm customizing it for you. So you're not getting you couldn't do this. You couldn't buy a template, modify it, and it look as good as this. I'm basically putting in the bare bones of your site, and then I'm making it custom for you based on what you want, who your target audience is, and what your goals are.
Right. So if someone goes, because what happens with a lot of these content management systems, like a Wix or something, if you want to move something into a place that it's not built to move, you can't do that, right? So if I have an image and I'm like, hey, I want this image to scroll in the background between this section and that one, I can't do that if it's not part of Wix, right? So I've used services before, and I'm like, man, I wish I could just move this, or I want like this arrow to like point down to the next section, and there's no way I can only do it to this section, and I can't create some kind of continuity with an arrow pointing down, and it would just be really limiting. What's great about what you're doing is you're taking these beautifully designed sites and customizing them so that if you need these elements, right, if you want to make it have a certain feel, you'll be able to get exactly what you want. So when you're done with it, it won't look like a template. It will look exactly like what you want it to look like.
Yeah, it's your individual site that you tell me what you want with examples, anything, and it's yours. It's not going to look like a template. Exactly. And template is when I say it like a designer, and I don't think it's the same as when everybody says it. So I'm using it because you have to, a technical template, but in everyone else's terms, no, I'm not using a template.
Right. It's not going to, so the most important thing I want you to get from it is when he uses the word template, you're not going to have a website that's going to look like someone else's website. Right. And that's one of the fears when you go with a template is I don't want to go into a site and people go, oh, that looks like a Wix site. Or, oh, that looks like that other person's site. It's the same thing. You will have literally like a one-of-one.
Yeah. So I can do this for 10 people. I can't do it for everybody, sorry, but the next months are going to look really, really busy for me. So I've got time to take on 10 new clients over the next month and a half. And if you want to be one, here's the offer. And again, it comes with everything I told you, the money back guarantee, the support, the video on how to use your site, the logo creation package, the mobile friendly design, all those things. And then Arel's thrown in the credit union course and the announcement email to boost your business as well. So if you want to take us up on that, just shoot me a calendar invite. This is the link, calendly.com/W4S, websites for speakers. Just get it on my calendar quick before the spots get filled up. Because I just can't do a lot of these for this little money. I'm sure you understand. You all have price integrity and want to make money on your speeches. And that's what happens when you get good at something is you have to set a limit. So that's what we did.
Yeah, dude, listen, I mean, just in the comments, John Medina, who's a rock star, he paid $3,000 for his website. I paid $10,000 for my website. So like if you came in and said, dude, I could get a boss site for $997 or for $1497, like it's a no-brainer because I want you all to think of it like this, okay? One speaking engagement, just one, with a site that looks like you should get paid what you gave, pays for this whole thing. So when you book a second speaking engagement, you're already doubled your investment in this website. So for any of you who've been feeling like my website's good, but it could be better, I can tell you from trying to do personal experience, that website that you saw that looked like crap from 2013 when I built it, that's what I built. And that was me sitting down and spending hours, and that's as good as I can get it, right? So I said, I don't want to ever do that again. I got to go premium. So that's why I paid for mine. I want you to realize that an investment in your website literally will pay for itself in one speaking engagement. One speaking engagement, you will, like for most of you, you'll double your money with one speaking engagement. Like if you spend $1497 and you charge $3,000 for a keynote because now you can, and people expect to pay that, you've literally doubled it. And if you're speaking in the youth market, it should be no problem for you to, like literally, if you're in a youth market and you're not charging at least $2,500, you're leaving money on the table. And if you want to speak to businesses or corporations, I mean, it can go up from $7,500 to $15,000 with no problem. But you can't get there if the site that you have looks like you're like, oh, I did it on GoDaddy. Oh, you know, I took a template from the site and I'm just going to use that. You know, and for anyone who's curious, I would just tell you, if your website was as good as it could be, how has it been working for you, right? There's a reason why you came on this webinar. There's a reason why you wanted to know it, because I would argue up until this point, it just probably isn't getting you all the things you wanted to. You could spend hundreds of hours like Jake did and learn the skills yourself, or in 3 to 6 weeks, be done and then start booking presentations for the fall or start booking virtual presentations right now. So it really becomes if you want to have an abundance mindset, invest in yourself, invest in what you care for, invest in your business. I don't know any other business owner that's doing well that hasn't invested in themselves. Like there's this myth that says, I'm going to do everything for free, spend no money whatsoever, and then I'm just going to make a whole bunch of money on the back. It's a fallacy. All right. So let's go questions. We got, dude, oh man, I know we got like 9 minutes before you got to bounce. So we're going to try to do as many lightning round questions as we possibly can. Again, if you want to book an inquiry, and again, if you have questions that and Jake, I'm speaking for you here, so feel free to say, well, you're wrong. But if you have questions that you would like to ask that you don't have time to, because whether it's personal or we only have 9 minutes left with Jake, so he can't stay, I encourage you, jump on the Calendly, right? The link is in the chat. Talk to Jake. He's a real cool guy. Like seriously, he's a very, very nice guy. Like, I mean, the most unscary man I think I've ever met in my life. Super friendly, right? So like he'll help and he'll give honest feedback. So if there's anything you need to work out or anything you need to just like process, like I hope I'm not speaking for you, Jake. That's cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. I'm ready to help.
Okay. So there were a few questions that came in. If you have any questions at all about the website or anything about the website for speakers, put it into the chat. I'm going to go through the ones that we have. I'm going to see if someone wrote, did you do Jelly Pong? I mean, the answer is yes. Yeah. Okay.
Skill Pong.
Skill Pong, yeah.
It actually was a product. They sponsored us and we got a bunch of free Pong games.
All right, so do you recommend building websites using commercial software or original programming?
I don't really have an opinion on it. If you're at a level where you can make either one work, I mean, it's all up to you, but I kind of told you my bread and butter.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, I don't have a good answer for it.
I mean, what I'll tell you is when you look at original programming, I think people are thinking like you need to get like a dude in a basement to start writing lines of code. Like 2020, like in 1995, you needed someone to sit down and like write these incredibly long lines of code. But I mean, if you want my opinion, that's not the way to do it. Like to have someone sit down and create something, like literally one of the speakers that's in TSS, she had a friend of hers build one of those websites from scratch, one of those original programming ones where she did all the lines. But literally no one could change it except the person who built it, right? So that's one of the other downsides when you go into the original programming versus using something like WordPress, where Jake can create it and then you can go in and content manage it, is that the only person who can make changes is the person who built it. And then that goes getting whole locked in.
Right. And that's not what I'm about. So I guess I do have an answer. I'm not about that. I want you to be in control of your website.
Cool. All right, we're gonna leave it up for questions. If no one has questions, we got 5 more minutes with the chief here. So if you have any questions about the website, any questions about like, I'm thinking about doing this or this color, please put it in the chat. If you had any questions about, dude, I want to do this speaker website thing, but what about this, what about that? Let me know. Hold on, Nikita sent a question. Nikita, resend it. What the heck?
And Dawn, look forward to meeting you. Saw that you signed up. We'll get to chat. That's awesome.
Hold on.
My question.
Nikita, what was your question? Rewrite it. Lord have mercy. I didn't see it. Yes, there will be. I will send out a replay. I got you, Jonathan. You probably came in a little bit late, but yes. Nikita, copy and paste the question. I can't find it. I didn't see it. Dang it. Nikita, if you don't rewrite it, I can't help you. Oh, there it is. There it is. So who can I get to edit my speaker reel and what should be included? I would argue use Jake's strategy of the wedding photographers, right? The wedding videographers. I think that's genius, right? So we touched upon that. How do you get a great editor for a good price? One, I think contact video editors. Two, if you want the guy I use, I'd be happy to give you, I have an incredible video editor who is like a boss. If you say, hey, you know, he charges, he's not cheap, I forget what he charges, but I just pay him because he's good. So if you like any of the videos you've ever seen me do, he does all of them. So if you want that, I'd be happy to give you his information. And Nikita, you know so much about my music taste. I can't help but make intros for you on the video editing side. And then for Amazon, I think a great way to cultivate that is find ways to say, how can I follow up? How can I do more? You know, if you get any feedback from people, share that with if you have anyone who messaged you, emailed you, tweeted you and said, oh my gosh, I loved it, you were amazing. I screenshot those and I send it to my host and say, man, we made such a great impact. Thank you so much for bringing me in. Look what they have to say. Or I'm going to try to find those people and email them and try to pull something out. Like, what did you like most about my presentation? If you have the list of attendees, and then you take these great responses, share it with your hosts. I send gift baskets. I send, like, during COVID, I've mailed bars of soap and hand sanitizer because
I love that.
I'm trying to, you know, stay in touch with them. So just find ways to stay. I have mailed toilet paper. That's right, Nikita. I have mailed toilet paper. So send them toilet paper. I know they got more than enough, but it's the thought that counts. I would 100%, like Jake was saying, put that logo on your website. Oh my gosh. If you like did a training for that, like get a screenshot of it, put their logo on your website and leverage the heck out of that to get more.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. Any more questions? Thank you, Jonathan, for using you the man, John. You the man, John. All right. You are welcome. Any other questions? So I'm going to put the link one more time into the chat. If you want that, we're going to send out an email to all of you. We're going to have this replay available so you can watch it. Once the 10 slots are filled, the 10 slots are filled, you know, so I hope that when you decide where you should invest your money, you realize, I honestly will tell you, a good site, it's one of the best investments you can possibly make. So I'm super excited for you. Thank you, Theo. Your wit is second to none. I think Theo is one of the wittiest commenters I've seen in a very long time. I want to acknowledge you, Theo, because you're dope. Thank you, Jake. Any last things you want to say before we say sayonara?
No, just, I mean, keep investing in yourself. If it's not with me, I mean, I didn't need to invest in a website because that was my thing. But when I invested in Arel's True Speaking Success, my career launched. So I don't even care if it's not with me. Invest in yourself, whatever it is right now that you're doing, because this COVID thing is gonna pass. Speaking is not changing, and we'll be ready. Make yourself ready. Do the hard stuff that you got to do now, so that you can have what you want later. I think you say it better, Arel, on your website, but something along like that.
Yeah, dude. And I'll say one thing, because there's a dude who's on here who I'm just going to shout you out a little bit. He does some really great live action stuff with Marvel. I would 100% edit and get pictures of them. I wouldn't separate the two. And I know I see you on here. I'm not saying your name because I didn't ask for permission to kind of like shout you out what you do with Marvel. But dude, I would 100% take shots of you doing your thing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe and cut that into speaking as well, because it's just going to add an incredible level of credibility and adding, you know, a feel to it that might pop a little bit with those like reminiscent of Marvel colors. That's something that obviously Jay could help you do, but that tie-in will be really powerful for you. So I'm just doing that because you're on here, and I want to say that because I was thinking about you when I saw you join. So, dude, Jake, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I hope you got a lot of great information. Was this helpful? Was this good? I want to say that you guys are the best of the best, and I appreciate y'all for being with us. Awesome. Thank you, Theo. All right, everyone. Thanks for being here, Jake. I'll talk to you later, brother.
Yeah, sounds good. Bye.